So I'll leave you with one more thought before we go on, and that is basically how the Vargas are broken down. That in the first syllable of a Varga, you're going to have the most dense of the syllables in that line, which is the simple striking, the simple sparsha of the simple specific striking of that syllable. So in the first Varga, the ka Varga, we have ka as the first syllable. The second one, we're going to perform our first operation on the sparsha, which is the operation of breath. And we're going to aspirate as we say ka, and the result will be ka. And we have simple ka, and then we have, with the breath, with aspiration, ka. And if you want to test to see if you're doing this properly, put your hand in front of your mouth. And when you pronounce ka, you should feel no air, no breath on your hand. When you pronounce ka, you should feel a blast of air on your hand. Okay? You get that difference. Now, and remember that the difference between ka and ka is as great as the difference between A and B. Okay?
Babaji,
Yes.
Babaji,
Yes.
because it's ka and then aspirated, is that again the same as a visarga because we're kind of we're using the breath?
No.
No.
If we had ka with a visarga, it would sound like this: kaha,
Ka.
kaha. Right? And we're not saying kaha. We're saying ka. Right? This is a distinct syllable from ka, where kaha is not a distinct syllable from ka. Okay. The third in the line is, whereas with ka, we have a contraction of the voice. It's a very specific, precise striking without any echo or reverberation. It is simple ka. But the third syllable in this line, we're going to expand our voice as we say ka. And the result will be ga. Now, to test yourself on this, you can put your hand on your throat. And when you say ka, you should feel no big vibration. It's just a simple striking. But when you expand your throat and say ga, you can feel the richness, the vibration, the expansion of your throat when you say that.
Ga.
Babaji,
Yes.
I mean, I must be doing it wrong because I don't just feel expansion. I actually feel like my tongue is pausing a little bit in the same point. Instead of hitting it, striking it really hard, there's like a soft roll almost. I don't even, it stays there longer. My tongue kind of goes up to that same place and is there for, like when I say ka and ga, if I slow ga down, it's almost like there's, I don't know, I'm trying to explain it, almost like not a nasal, but there's
It's a voicing.
a voicing?
Yeah, this is another way that people describe it, is that the difference between ka and ga is the difference of unvoiced ka and voiced ga.
It's the same as the difference between P and B.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. That's
But
exactly
even when
right.
I do P and B at the labial at the lips, it's because I slow the movement down.
No, it's
I
not
have to.
that's not because you slow the movement down. It
It's
is
because your vocal cords are vibrating in one and not in the other.
exactly right, exactly right. So
Okay.
when the vocal cords, I don't really want it to get into the more scientific paradigm, but the way that you can relate the vocal cords coming into operation is that you have an expansion, right? With you could think of it as hot and cold. That with ka, it's a very cold striking. But now the room has warmed up, now it's summer, everything has expanded, and that hard ka now becomes the much softer, more expansive, voiced ga.
Well,
Ka, ga, ka, ga. Don't make any effort.
well,
Don't make any effort with the ga aside from relaxing and therefore expanding the striking, the voice. And now the fifth element in this first line is very, very tricky for most non Indian speakers because it's a nasal. Now, instead of shooting the articulation through our mouth, we're going to reroute it through our nose. So if we say the same thing, if we say ka, except pronounce it through our nose, it becomes arna, 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 arna. Now, I'm not aware. There may be two
So
or
the
three.
condensation of this one is N.
So this is the most dense of the first line. It's you can say it's the more condensed, the most condensed of the first line. It takes
the nose is.
yes, that takes the most. Well, it's not the fact of the nose; it's the fact
Yeah.
of the articulation. That I'm sorry. Did I say the most dense? I did,
Yeah.
didn't I? It's not the most dense. It's the least dense, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's the least dense. I'm terribly sorry for that.
That's-
It's the least dense of the articulations. The most dense
yeah.
would be the simple striking
yeah.
of the ka. What we're going to do is we're going to see how this works with all the rest of the syllables. That this applies all the way down the line. These 5 spaces that we can refer to as vargas. I don't want to overemphasize any kind of Sanskrit terminology because I think Sanskrit terminology is much overused in the West today. But there are certain points that make it easier for us to discuss these things. So we'll refer to these 5 spaces as 5 vargas.
If you were talking about densities,
Yes.
and when I say ka and then I bring breath to it, ka, and then ga, the third. That could you talk about how is that connected to fire?
We don't have the context yet to really talk about that. I think we'll have this context maybe by next or the following session, because if we start making these connections before we know why we're making these connections, if we start making these connections before we're actually discovering them on our own, then we're superimposing and we're creating a structure and a paradigm that is a part of a belief system and an ideology rather than an exploration and a discovery of our own speech.
Okay, thank you.
Babaji, the vowels, like the ah and the e, is there one for each of the five, kind of mirroring the Vargas? What was the vowel connection to the ka and the cha, ta, ta?
Well, the vowel connection of ka is a.
Oh, okay. There's one for each.
Yeah, well, it's not that. Don't think of it just in terms of one for each. Think of it more in terms of spaces that you have to go to. These are, I think of this as sort of sacred geography of the mouth, and that we can make a pilgrimage to these different spaces in the mouth. And when we visit those temples, in those spaces, then we have options of silent prayer or ringing the bells or beating the drum. There are various analogies that we can start invoking when we make these pilgrimages in the sacred geography of our mouths.
Okay.
I hope I'm not getting too technical.
No.
Okay, good. Because this is, if we continue to look at these things as metaphors and analogies and maps, then we can make this a little trip in the astral realm together.
Cool.
Okay. Okay, I think our time is up now. So let me know, send me any questions, of course, on the Google Plus community that we have, and I'd be happy to do my best to answer them. And I really do appreciate. God bless you all. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I wish you the best. Om Namo Narayana.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Narayana.
Narayana.
Narayan.